Hello everyone, I'm Ankit and you're watching StudyIQ IAS English channel. Now Prime Minister Modi, he's on his official visit to United Kingdom. So how is this visit important not just for UK but from India's perspective as well? That we'll try to discuss in our today's discussion. The notes that I utilize in this class, you can download them after the session ends on this particular Telegram channel called as ATS Live. To find this channel, open your Telegram app in the mobile phones. On the top right hand corner, there's a search bar. Click on it and write ATS Live, you'll find the channel. But if you still have problems in locating it, this is the QR code you can scan and you can download the notes. Subscribe to it also if you do not want to miss out on future updates. Now let us understand what is happening right now. Prime Minister today landed in United Kingdom for his official visit, and after United Kingdom he'll go to Maldives. Now, in his official visit to UK, it is expected that both of these governments will sign what is known as a free trade agreement, which represents the transformative and historic shift in India's and UK's bilateral relationship. Now, earlier, both of these countries used to approach each other with colonial hangover and the Cold War prejudice. But now, after these two countries have removed from all these considerations, there has been a transition in this relationship. Earlier, it was very symbolic. Now, it has become quite pragmatic and quite substantive. So, how is the relationship between these two countries evolved in recent times? Let us understand this, and after that we'll discuss what are the current avenues of cooperation between these two countries. Okay, first let us start how this relationship has evolved in past few decades. Now, one of the major policy change that the government of India did in the early part of 1990s was the adoption of economic liberalization. Now, with economic liberalization in India, it opened up new opportunities for both these countries to cooperate with each other in the field of economy and trade, right? And in that regard, at that time, the Conservative Party was in power in UK. Now, there are two political parties or prominent political parties in UK. Conservative Party, which has a center-right approach, as well as the Labour Party, which is more tilted towards the left ideology. Now, India's relations with UK has been primarily driven by political considerations, whereas the Conservative Party, they were more amenable to India's interests, whereas Labour Party was not so amenable. So India's relationship at the decade of 1990s were primarily driven by which of these two parties are in power in UK. So in early 1990s, when India undertook economic liberalization, then the government was led by Conservative Party. So this government actually backed India's economic reforms and the inherent momentum. But this cooperation later stalled after Labour Party came into power in UK from 1997 to 2010. And this was quite visible even during the official visit of Queen Elizabeth II to India in 1997. At the time when Queen of England was visiting India, then Foreign Secretary of England, Robin Cook, he made a remark highlighting India's position on the Kashmir issue, and at that time India was very sensitive about Kashmir issue, and this comment made it by a important functionary of the UK government did not go down with the Indian government, and this prompted a very strong diplomatic response from then Prime Minister, who was also a diplomat before, Sri Inder Kumar Gujral. So this highlighted how English government probably, which was led by Labour Party, it was not very considerate to India's interest, right? So this is how India's relationship has evolved. Now let us consider what was the reset that happened after 2010. I told you Labour Party was in power from 1997 to 2010 at the times of Tony Blair, at the times of Gordon Brown. But in after 2010 elections in UK, the party in power in UK changed to Conservative Party, and I've told you Conservative Party and their politicians have been more acceptable to India's interest, right? So this renewed cooperation started at the time Conservative PM David Cameron was in power. He attempted to delink India's bilateral relations with India's and Pakistan dispute over Kashmir, and even at the time when Modi government came in 2014, both of these governments reassessed their ties with each other. Modi government particularly, they prioritized pragmatic cooperation with UK and cooperation evolving around multiple sectors. There was this another policy brought by British government recently known as 2030 roadmap, and in this roadmap also British government wanted to increase its cooperation with India over different avenues like trade, avenues like technology, education, defense and security. And in this regard, the current Prime Minister of Britain, who also happens to be from Labour Party, played a very important role. When Keir Starmer came into power in England, he first of all decided to rein in anti-Indian sentiments in the Labour Party. And this made Indian government somewhat comfortable. And therefore, you'll see that the cooperation that exists between India and UK even right now is very subtle as compared to the ones that happened in previous Labour government's tenure, right? So this is how the relationship between these two countries have evolved. Please understand, whenever there is a question relating to IR in the exam, particularly in the mains exam, you'll have to paint a bigger picture. You don't have to use as much as data as you are required to use in economy. You have to paint a bigger or a larger picture, and then only your answer will fetch more marks in the exam. Now let us discuss why are these two countries cooperating with each other. We need to know the reason as well, right? First, let us understand the reason why Britain is cooperating with India. Now, after Brexit, that was the Britain's exit from the European Union, British economy witnessed economic stagnation. And not just that, because of Brexit, we saw there was this political instability in Britain. Even though the Conservative Party had majority in UK's parliament, it led to frequent changes in the leader of the house, that is the Prime Minister of Britain. The earlier Prime Minister was Rishi Sunak, and he came into power after resignation of few PMs belonging all to the Conservative Party. And not just this, not just political fragmentation and economic stagnation happened in Britain, but it also wanting to change its orientation of the economy. As British economy has gotten more developed in recent times, it has increased its orientation towards service, and this has led to lesser job creation. So now British government wants to shift its emphasis from service towards industrial innovation across 8 priority sectors so as to build the stagnant economy and also to create more and more employment. So this was British's reason. Now let us understand what is India's reason to improve its relations with Britain. Now India first of all wants to leverage UK's capital as well as knowledge capability, right? Because even though India stands above in terms of size of economy as compared to Britain, but Britain still is world's 6th largest economy, and it is a financial powerhouse, and its capital can actually play a pivotal role in India's developmental interest. Similarly, economically and politically also, there is a rising anti-immigration sentiment in UK. And because of this rising anti-immigration sentiments in UK, immigrants are not that welcome in UK, and this has created an opportunity for India so as to prevent immigration going out of the country to other countries and build its capacity internally. So for internal developmental purposes, for requirements of investment, India needs the cooperation of UK. So this is the reason why both of these countries want economic help of each other. Now in this light, let us understand what are the key pillars of current engagement between India and Britain. First of all, the most highlighted aspect about Prime Minister Modi's visit this time to UK is the expected signing of the free trade agreement. Now, this free trade agreement between India and UK will cover not just trade in goods, but also services, investment, and intellectual property rights. And this is expected to boost the commerce, the trade, and job creation in both of these economies. So, signing a free trade agreement is a win-win situation for both these governments. Similarly, India also wants to cooperate with Britain in the fields of technology and innovation. There was this tech security initiative that in Britain that focused on semiconductors, AI, renewable energy, and critical infrastructure. And you will realize all of these things are exactly what Indian government also wants to do inside India's economy. Similarly, I told you there is a rising anti-immigration sentiment in UK. So most of the students who currently want to go to UK, they'll be facing difficulties. So in this regard, the government of India, it wants to bring British universities and enable them to set up their campuses in India so that British universities can provide quality education, create education related infrastructure so that Indian students who are looking to go abroad can stay here and study. So these are the economic, technology, and educational cooperation between these two countries. But I told you India has a multi-sectoral cooperation, so let us understand other avenues as well. Now India also wants to cooperate with Britain in the fields of defense. First of all, Indian government is wanting to indigenize its defense related technology under the aegis of Atmanirbhar Bharat as well as Make in India. So Indian government is looking to jointly manufacture important military platforms, and here the defense related companies of UK can play a very important role. It can create joint ventures, it can create or it can transfer the technology to Indian companies and undertake joint manufacturing in India, which will provide a very good symbol for both British companies as well as India's defense manufacturing capabilities. Now, the recent cause of concern or the sour point between these two countries' relationship has been the emergence of Khalistani extremism, particularly in UK. Now, Indian government repeatedly has raised this issue with UK government, saying that this is threat not just to India's interest but also to security interests of Britain, because these Khalistani extremists, these are anti-social elements, so they'll create problems not just for India but for domestic security of UK as well. Similarly, there has been instances that many economic fugitives from India, they took loans from Indian banks and they escaped the India's law authorities by living in England. So these fugitive economic offenders like Nirav Modi, like Vijay Mallya, India has put in a formal extradition request with the UK government. So these are the two emerging sour points that has created ripples in the relationship between these two countries. And this is one of the key aspects that India also wants to deal with. So in our today's discussion, we'll understand that India is actually giving a strategic messaging to UK. India is saying that yes, you want to do trade with us, we also want to trade with you. But this trade between these two countries won't come at a cost of India's security interest. And how can Britain take care of India's security interest? By curbing the elements of Khalistani extremism and by extraditing these fugitive economic offenders back to India. And India has said that if extremism perpetrates in UK soil, it is not just detrimental to UK's external relationship with India, but it is also detrimental to domestic security interest of UK, because these people, if you actually extradite them back to India and also try to curb these elements, this will be seen as a reciprocal legal cooperation between these two countries. And you understand the concept of rule of law actually originated in Britain. So when Britain actually uses this rule of law to curb these antisocial elements, to send these economic fugitives back to India, this is very essential for just and trusting partnership that will lead to many different avenues of cooperation. So India is saying that you want to do trade with us, it is good, but you have to not ignore our security concerns. So this is what India's strategic messaging to UK has been all about. But this doesn't mean that everything is very hunky and dory when it comes to the relationship between these two countries, because you have to realize UK is only the country that ruled over us for about 190 years. And here, India's colonial resentment against the entire United Kingdom plays a very important role in how Indian government approaches UK. On the other hand, UK also suffers from an imperial hangover. There was this mindset in UK's government that they are superior to all, and this mindset actually played a very detrimental role to the continuity of India's and Britain's relationship. And even India took the British economic heft quite lightly. It romanticized with other powers like Russia, whereas ignoring the fact that even today Britain continues to be world's 6th largest economy, and it has the economic weight to provide investments to India, to provide technology to India, which India can utilize for its own developmental imperatives. Also, India's elite also demonstrate a contradictory behavior, and all of this requires recalibration towards a more pragmatic and a win-win engagement between these two countries. And this is what both of the governments are looking to make, right? Address all the concerns on both sides and also take development, economic as well as technological cooperation. Now to conclude, how you should conclude the answer. I told you whenever there is a question relating to IR, you have to paint a bigger picture. So you can either paint a bigger picture in your introduction or you can utilize this bigger picture for your conclusion. For example, both of these countries are having a close relationship because the broader geopolitical context provides exactly the same. Both of these countries, you have to understand, these are middle power and they are recalibrating their foreign policies due to changes in global order. What are these changes in global order? First of all, there is a significant retrenchment of the United States, especially under the leadership of Donald Trump. It is going back on its commitments, be it NATO, be it security related commitments, be it multilateral commitments. Similarly, China, as it is growing economically and militarily, it is growing more and more assertive, and it is creating problems in the regions of Indo-Pacific region where both India and UK has a significant stake. So both of these countries, by strengthening their bilateral tie, they can act as a force multiplier, they can provide security to Indo-Pacific region, they can provide global tech governance, and they can also help in democratic coalition building, something that US has failed to do in recent past, right? So this is how you conclude your answer. Now this essentially is a part of international relations syllabus, right? And in international relations, we provide you bigger picture. And similarly, all the help relating to all the subjects in UPSC are also provided in our resolution batches. Now, one of our resolution batches for 2026, it is going to start from tomorrow onwards, that is 25th of July. So the ones who haven't taken admission anywhere, please do consider one of our batches. Here we provide not just teaching, but we also provide test series, mentorship support to all the students. And to make the things sweeter, you also need to understand, if you subscribe to Diamond batch in the GS Foundation resolution courses, and if you clear your prelims next year, we'll be refunding your entire course fees. So this is an added on benefit. Do not forget, this batch starts from tomorrow. So to take admission, use the code ATS Live, because this code helps you get 7,000 rupees discount on all the courses, right? You can go to our website. Please do not forget, use this code. It helps you get discounts. Now, this is the practice question that you can opt for writing. This actually will help you in honing your answer writing skills, which is very essential for your mains examination. And once again, if you want to get these answers checked, if you want to download the notes, these will be available on this particular Telegram channel, ATS Live. So do not forget to subscribe it and download the notes. This is all from my side. Please have a very good night.